All right, I have my cropped image. Believe it or not, I'm actually going to skip a few steps and replace the sky next. Seems like a big jump or big leap to replace the sky next, but later on when I do my levels adjustment layers, I'm going to show you why this might actually save me some confusion and heartache later on. So I'm going to jump right to replacing the sky. So the first thing I'm going to do, I have this cropped image. I want to go ahead and open my alternative sky. So on my desktop, inside of my Proj1 folder, I actually have two skies here. I've got this sky here. That's kind of a nice sky. And then I have this sky here. I don't know, that one looks a little bit more pixelated to me than the other one. So I'm going to go with new sky. I'm kind of liking these clouds, these new sky clouds. So I'm going to click open, and you're going to see that it opens in Photoshop as a separate tab. Check out along the top of your screen, just under your options panel, if you have more than one image open in Photoshop, you'll have a tab for each one. Now, I have this sky, and if I want to select all of the pixels, Command A, for select all the pixels, it will give me around the outside perimeter of my canvas, it will give me my marquee or my marching ants. Kind of hard to see it right now because I have my crop tool selected, so I'm going to deselect my crop tool or pick another one so you can see my marching ants. Now that the entire canvas is selected, I'm going to copy and paste this. So I can either use my edit menu to copy, yes, and then paste, or I can use my keyboard shortcuts for copy, which is Command C. And then instead of pasting it in here, because I don't need a second layer in the file that already has a sky, I'm going to go to my building tab, and I'm going to show you the wrong way first. You ready? I'm going to go to edit and paste, and we know when we copy and paste pixels, it automatically creates a new layer. But look at this. This layer is covering, it's over top of, it's covering my building. I don't want it to cover my building. I want it to be replacing the ugly old sky that is currently there. So first thing I'm going to do is use my layers panel to drag that sky layer to the trash, and instead I'm going to show you a shortcut. So enter layer masks. Now there's a hard way and an easy way to do layer masks. The harder way would be to use my layers panel, right, or my layer pull down menu to add a layer mask. I would hit reveal all, and watch, next to my background layer would add this thing right here called a mask. Now whatever is black in that mask will actually make it possible for me to see below this to other layers beneath it, right? It makes it look like pixels are disappearing and reappearing when really they aren't. They're either being masked by drawing inside of this layer mask using black or white, or they're unmasked. So I'm going to hit undo, Command Z, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to, instead of doing it the hard way by manually creating a layer mask, grabbing a brush and then manually trying to brush or mask parts of old sky, new sky away, I'm going to have Photoshop, I always say I like to make Photoshop my bitch, right? I'm going to make Photoshop do the work for me. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tell Photoshop what shape, oops, sorry about that, what shape of a mask I want. And I'm going to do that by selecting the sky that is currently there. Yes. So I'm going to use a variety of tools. Yeah. But I'm going to actually use tools that are appropriate for the situation. You guys know or have been exposed to the different selection tools already. I'm going to use, along the edge of this building, because it is a series of straight edges, I'm going to use my polygonal lasso tool. Let me tell you, it's a love-hate thing, this polygonal lasso tool, because you guys know if you've used it, you click somewhere you didn't mean to click, all of a sudden you got to undo it, or it sticks wherever you click. So it's like a spider web. And I'm going to pretend like my cursor's a little spider, and I'm going to start my web right here along the edge of this building, yes, and then I'm just going to, everywhere where I want it to leave behind a little web piece, I'm going to click, 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 right? If I was using a brush or trying to brush along the edge of this building, I definitely would not get nice straight edges, right? And we all know from real life that concrete doesn't have fuzzy, wobbly, blurry, wavy edges, right? It has straight edges. So I'm going to start by selecting this sky, but by selecting along the edge of this building using a series of straight lines. Now remember, when you select something in Photoshop, you are essentially activating pixels inside of that selection area. You're telling Photoshop that you're going to do something with those pixels, right? What do you think? Let's do this. I'm going to change my mind later. I'm going to go ahead and keep this air conditioning unit along the top of this building. I'm going to keep it inside of my selection area and just keep the sky itself selected, nothing else. I'm definitely getting rid of that dish. I mean, come on. DirecTV is so old news. I'm going to keep going along the edge. I'm trying to select the sky here, you guys. Trying to make my selection as accurate as possible while also making sure that I'm not including in my selection any of the lighter colored pixels for the old sky, right? You guys know if you include those lighter colored pixels in your selection area, you're actually going to end up with what I call the white halo of doom along the edge. And think about, by the way, how time consuming it is to do a really nice selection with this tool. Yeah, takes a while. So I am probably going to want to save this selection after I spend so much time on it. What do you think? Include the tip of that pole or not? I say, you know what? I think I'm going to remove that pole. By the way, nice nasty flaw right there you're going to want to fix later on. Don't leave those obvious flaws behind when you're editing this image. Yeah? All right, I'm going to hit Option, switch to my regular lasso, let go of Option, so I get up. See, you guys, those of you who are paying attention to my demo on the bow tie pasta for tutorial 2, yeah? You know what I'm talking about here. Here I'm going to switch, go back to my last regular lasso here, and notice this is not absolutely perfect, but I'm going to want to try and get it as perfect as I can so that I'm not tempted to do any destructive editing later on to fix my bad selection mistakes. Yes, the more perfect this selection is, the less I'm going to be tempted to grab an eraser and get rid of pixels later on. Don't use that eraser. I told you I break fingers. All right, I'm to the edge of all my straight lines here. I'm actually going to use a keyboard shortcut, spacebar, Command, Option, to zoom out here for you guys so you can see. Now I have only along the edge of this building. I'm going to use the rest of my polygonal lasso tool to go around the sky. And you know what? Maybe switch to, by holding down Option, my regular lasso. I know I'm going to want to use a different tool right here. And then I'm going to let go right at the end. There we go. So right now, my sky is what is selected. I can prove it to you. I'm going to grab this brush and I'm going to just brush, notice, everything outside of my selection area is being protected right now. It is only what is inside of my marquee, my selection area, that is being affected. I'm going to hit undo. I'm going to fit to screen so you can see, right? It's just the sky that is selected. Nothing else is selected. I do have like some other area here by the tree that I'm going to want to refine my selection for because that is not a good selection there along the edge of that tree line. I can choose to make a more perfect selection now, or I can kind of leave it like that right now, and I can show you how to use your layer mask to fix that. So maybe that's what I'll do. This did take me a while, so I'm going to go to the Select pull-down menu and save my selection. This should seem very familiar to those of you who did tutorial 2. I'm going to call this Sky, and I'm going to click OK. And now I know when I save my file again, Command S to save, I know when I save this file, if I were to close it, come back later and open it up, I can load that selection. I would not have to recreate that selection from scratch all over again. Now, check it out, because I'm going to show you. This was just selecting the sky, right? Remember, I already went to this new sky, selected all, and copied those pixels. Those pixels are still in my clipboard. Now, with these pixels selected, I'm not just going to go to edit and paste, yeah? Because I saw what that did before. When I went to edit and paste, it pasted the entire sky that I had selected and it covered it, right? It covered my building in layer 1 entirely. This time, I'm gonna do something special. And yes, it actually is called Paste Special here. I'm gonna do a Paste Special and I'm gonna select the one called Paste Into. What it's referring to, into what? Into my current selection. Right now I have that sky selected. I'm going to paste it into that selection and I want you to see what happens in my layers panel. Dun da da! Not only do I have a new sky layer, But beside my new sky layer is a layer mask automatically. I did not have to manually create this layer mask like I showed you first. Automatically created it, and it already included in that mask in black everything on the outside of my selection area. Yes, and look at what my sky looks like right now. Yes, there's my sky pasted, what looks like pasted into my selection. Yes, but it's not alone by itself on the layers panel. It is next to a layer mask for the sky, and that black inside of this layer mask, and I can paint black and white inside of this layer mask if I want to change what's being masked right now. But that black area is what's making it possible for me to see the layer below it like it is transparent. But it isn't. Look at this. That whole sky is still there. The whole building is still there. The only thing that's changed is this sky layer has a layer mask, and part of that mask is black, making it possible for me to see the building in the layer below it. I like my change. What am I going to do? I'm going to click Save. Yes. By the way, I don't even know why they ask. If it asks for maximize compatibility, just always say yes. It really shouldn't even ask you any longer. But I want to zoom out just a little bit here so you can see. Remember this sky? There's so much more sky here than what I see here. Yes? That whole sky really is still there. I'm going to grab my Move tool, and I'm going to click on my sky, not my mask, but my sky in my layers panel, and I'm going to move this sky, and you're going to see that whole sky is still there, right? So I can move this around so that what I'm seeing for the new sky is what I want to see in my image, and I'm going to make sure that it's all the way down to the edge there. If I want to, I can even grab one of these handles in the corner and scale it down a little bit more, because the sky is actually bigger than it needs. Look how big, look at these giant bounding box here. So I can even scale this sky down, which makes the pixel smaller, by the way. I can even scale this sky down as I'm moving it around if I want the sky to have smaller clouds. So I'm actually not going to scale it down all that much because I don't like these big giant clouds at the top. It kind of makes things look like something is fire is billowing up from the building or something. I don't know. They just look like the wrong size. So I'm moving this sky around a little bit. I want to make sure I do not scale it up so much that it ends up larger than its original size. We never ever scale up pixels in Photoshop, guys. Yes, I break fingers for that too. But the reason being is because we do not want to scale up pixels, right? We do not want anyone seeing our pixels. It actually reflects upon our level of proficiency in Photoshop. If somebody sees something we're working on and it looks pixelated, it comes across as kind of amateurish, low quality, right? We don't want anyone thinking we're Photoshop amateurs here. So once we have it the right size, I know I haven't scaled it up accidentally, larger than its original size. I've moved it around. I'm going to hit return to set the changes that I made as I was transforming my sky layer by scaling it and moving it. Notice, by the way, it's reflected in the little preview of my layers panel that I have moved my sky image up and that I have scaled it down a little bit. But just note, it's still in its entirety is in that layer. So I can still continue to move it around if I want to with my Move tool as I go along. So yes, shortcut to a layer mask, not just copy paste into an active selection will automatically give you a layer mask, and you can actually adjust that layer mask. So I'm going to show you next how to go about adjusting that layer mask.